So in the first few years of the ministry, I was on YouTube and I was on social media, but the Christian way wasn't really hitting yet. There was only a few, like Sarah Jakes wasn't really that big yet. There was only like a few out there that was really kind of moving, but the Lord knew that there was going to be a wave, and if you're in position, you're going to catch the wave. And so I think early on the Lord just showed me, like, Morgan, your medium is social media. That's this generation's medium. And I gave it, I gave a command, I gave a plan to go out into all the world and make disciples, all nations. So, daughter, you don't got to get on a flight to go do that. You can drop a video. And so even when I had 50 subscribers, I was like, you know what? I know one day it's going to be bigger than this. So
Yes.
this is me trying to go out into all the world and help his daughters.
Well, what's up, guys? Welcome to Becoming Her, and I am your host, Rebecca Watley. Guys, we are doing something brand new, and I am here for it. I am so here for this wonderful, wonderful series on Becoming Her. Guys, like you seen the other week, I did my first introduction of Becoming Me. And it was so much healing. It was so therapeutic. But now we've talked about me becoming me. I have the honor and privilege of talking to women from different backgrounds on their journey of becoming her. Our first guest, guys, that we have is Morgan Tracy J, guys. Yes, that's right, guys. We got Morgan Tracy J here on today. And I'm so excited. If you don't know her, where you been? If you don't know what she's doing out here, where have you been? Guys, I'm so excited to hear her journey. I'm so excited for her to give us wisdom nuggets from what she's been through, that we will take on pearls and knowledge. I'm just excited, guys. So you're in for a treat on today. Yes, I said it. Morgan Tracy J is here today. Okay, so let's get into this conversation. Let's welcome Morgan Tracy J to the show. Hey, precious woman of God.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for having me. I'm so appreciative of being able to talk on this beautiful topic. This
Yes,
topic is something that I'm already tapped into it a little bit, but just to help women become,
yes.
that to me is just so much better than waiting,
Yeah.
you know?
Woo! Yeah, she's already started off with some good nuggets. So, Morgan, can you tell us a little bit about you? Tell the people who don't know who you are, what you do, what your business, what your ministry is, because it's so dope. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, sure. Well, my name is Morgan Tracy J, and I have a women's ministry called His Daughter's Closet. And really, I started this in 2017. I heard the Lord tell me to help His daughters. That's all He told me to do. And I jumped on YouTube and I started my women's ministry through there. And now I talk on faith, fashion, and fearlessness. And so those are my like three things I go for so hard. And I will say, I always say, like, the ministry has grown and God has blessed it so much, but I am just a regular girl. I just fell in love with Jesus. That's the only thing that set me apart, was falling in love with God. Because before that, I had a whole nother plan for my life. I had a whole nother journey that I thought I was going to go on. But with the Lord guiding me, it brought me into His Daughter's Closet and into full time ministry and full time YouTube and faith and fashion. And it brought it all together in only a way that the Lord could have done that.
Yeah. So, Morgan, let's I got a question. I have a lot of questions, but what you're doing now, your ministry, your business, your reach, what you're doing for God, I think that it is so unorthodox. And I think it's so cool. It's so different in that you are reaching people in such a unique way. In such a unique way through fashion, through social media. You are doing something that I feel is just in its own lane. It has its own identity, and I feel like because one thing that I've learned about ministry is that. And the dope thing is many don't discover it, but when you be you and you rock who you are and not try to conform to what other people are doing, you will reach the people you are assigned to, and like you will reach your people. And a lot of people want to be like somebody else, but I learned something with God is that God has given me my own identity, and God has spoke to me when because I went through that phase of I need to be like them, I need to be like, I need to do all these things. God says, wait a minute, there's only one of you, there's only one of you, there's only one of you. So why are you trying to conform to someone who's already taken? You are enough. You are enough. And I had to learn to maintain my own lane. To maintain my lane, in that the people who I'm called to reach will hear, in my obedience to God, will most definitely be reached. And I see what you're doing, your unique way. You are reaching your people, and there's so much more and so much expansion that I see for you. For real, Morgan. There's so much expansion. So when you first got your call, now when you first God called you, there was a call on your life. God called you. What age were you when God called you into ministry?
Well, I got saved at 19. And so at 21, I knew I was called into it, but I didn't want it. God started showing me dreams and visions of it, and I didn't want it because I was still in my own little lane. And I think around 22, 23 is when I did my first speaking. I spoke at a church, and that was when I stepped right into it. And I was like, oh, we're here. So it definitely took me a minute though to get on track. And like you said though, it's sometimes you see people and you imitate them. Like I would see these powerful women preacher leaders and they were wearing some of the longer skirts and they just looked a certain way. So that's why I was like, that's how I have to be. And quickly the Lord had it. He literally made me unfollow people for seasons. He was like, because you're in the beginning stages of your vision. Like you can't follow that one right now. Like now today I follow her because I have my vision has been established. But in the beginning stages, this thing can be really transitioned in a way that God didn't call it to be. And so I caught on early on when I was wearing certain clothes and certain things. And I was like, this doesn't feel good to me. And then it was like, well, because you're not being you. You gotta be you. You gotta be you. And I will say the more that I've just been myself, and just allowed it to flow out of me and not really put the pressure to be like, oh, like this church is doing it like this, or this lady's doing it like that. I need to do it like that. The more I just said, hold on, no, hone in to what God has given you, the more I've seen my audience come around and I've seen women connect with my story and connect with my ministry on levels that I know I couldn't have did on my own. But it's because I finally put the you back into YouTube.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh.
you. You put that back in there versus trying to look like and be like everyone else.
Right. I love that. Ah, that is amazing. That is amazing. So Morgan, talking about the call, when you received your call and you didn't want it, were because a lot of times in the beginning when we receive our call from God, it brings me back to myself. When I received my call from God, I can remember at first, Morgan, I was so excited because I heard God so clearly. I was just excited. Oh my God. I would have told my parents, I was like, God called me into ministry. God called me to reach the unreachable. God had given me so much. And I didn't know the process of the call. I didn't know what all it entailed. I did not know what that my life was about to shift in a way, that I was about to go through purification. I was about to go through change in my circle. I did not know. So in the beginning I was excited, but then I started getting discouraged. Like, Lord, you sure you want me? Lord, you know what I've been through. You know what I've encountered in my life, in my childhood, the abuse I endured. Are you sure that you want me? Are you sure you're calling me? And so I was excited, but I didn't want the responsibility. I didn't want the responsibility. I didn't then being a female woman minister who God had called to establish. I was like, oh Lord, no, not in a male dominated. I'm not doing this, Lord. And so I was afraid. I got afraid, Morgan, and it wasn't easy, but I didn't give up on it. I didn't give up on it. And I did the bare minimum. I did things that I knew that no one would feel uncomfortable with. I did the bare minimum. I was like, okay, God, I'm not gonna do what you asked me to do, but I'll be around it. I can do a Bible study. You know, Lord, I can speak every now and then, but I'm not gonna do what you called me to do. I can't do that, Lord. But I promise you I'll rep you. And I started to go through the turbulence. So after you, what made you accept the responsibility? What made you accept your God given responsibility? Was this something that pushed you to it, into that field, or what happened?
I think it was a desire started to blossom inside of me. So when the Lord first showed me this vision and this dream, and it was like so big, it did scare me, but I knew it. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Like, what was I doing? I'm a preaching, or am I, like, I'm like, no, like, I was on my own path, my own route. So when I first seen it, I had no desire for it. But quickly over time, like not even putting that thing at the end of my mind, like this isn't what I want, but quickly at the end of my like over time, I started to see I was kind of doing that. I was just kind of naturally walking into it on my campus and hosting Bible studies, like you say. I started doing little things, and then it was like it built a desire for it. So yeah, I will say I don't think that I one day just said like I am answering the call. Like I didn't ever say that. I just started. I still love the Lord, so I just kept walking on my own faith journey with the Lord. And then one day, I literally got an opportunity to speak at a church for a lay speaker, and I remember like I got done speaking and I was like, "Oh, you just stepped right into it, girl." And I will say my life from that day on has never been the same because I knew what I was called to do from that day forward. And I had already known, but it was like that day I stepped into it without realizing me going up here speaking is me finally stepping into that call. I didn't realize it until I got done that I was like, "Oh, we're here now." We're, yeah. Yeah. But you talked on the journey, and I think that is something that the highs and the lows of it that, gets overlooked a lot. And even on my ministry journeys, there's been a lot of lows, a lot of lows. And I always say this, on this journey, there's many days I've wanted to leave the ministry because it's been heavy. It's been heavy, but I've never wanted to leave God.
Right.
Right? That's the difference. So I have told the Lord, okay, God, I want to go back and get a 9 to 5. I want to go back and do the thing I used to do because this is like I'll be you're the best daughter. Just let me not do it for a while. Let me just go regular job it. But I still want you, God. I want you to go with me to my regular job. I want you to be there with me when I'm working the 9 to 5. And I would say that to the Lord, but it's like I never just because I want to leave the ministry does not mean I want to leave you. It's just the ministry requires another level of responsibility. It requires another level of death and sacrifice than a normal 9 to 5 would require. You know what I mean? So
So Morgan, I think for me, like what I really want, like one of the purposes of becoming her is that I want the women, young girls, teenagers, young adults, middle age,
mhm.
seniors to know that the process is not always easy. It's not always, it does like you, it's a process. The good is the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, the bad, and the ugly. the
Mm,
beautiful. You go through different stages in on your journey to becoming who you are. And I just want the I think I just want them to know like you're not alone. Don't think
mm,
that you're the only one that's going through something. That your process is it may be a lot of turbulence. It may be some traumas. It will be some losses. It will be those hard times, but I want us to let
mhm.
them, like us being here, that you can get through it. You can rise. You can get through that hard time. You can
Yeah.
recover. You can recover and recover and heal and heal and heal. We are examples of that. We just didn't show up. No, we went through a process too, to becoming
Yeah.
her,
Yes.
who we are. So my next question would be, so after you received your call, you accepted your call. Me and my brother was talking about this last night. Because a lot of
Ooh,
times
let's
when you
hear it.
get pregnant, you don't know immediately what you're having. You don't know
Mhm.
what that baby is until a certain 3 to 4 or 5 months. You
Yeah.
can get an ultrasound and know what is on the inside of you.
Mm.
When did you discover what was on the inside of you? Your first baby. When did you pinpoint, like, oh my God, this is what I'm pregnant with. This is what I'm about to do.
I don't think I knew it fully until after I launched my ministry.
Oh
So I
wow.
already went into the launch, like, I'm like, and it was very small. Like I didn't see this fullness of it until fully I was in it.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, and then at the time I hadn't grown that much yet. But it was in that moment, like when I fully launched it and I fully was like, hey y'all, I have a ministry now. Like when I fully started walking in it, and then I quit, it's like the Lord gave me this bigger view.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa, hold on, no, 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 like,
Yeah.
that I'm tripping over here, right? But I did not know it until I was fully walking into it. And I even will say this, there were years that once he showed it to me,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, let's go. Like, I was finally ready. Like, okay, let's get it. And it was taking so long. I
Ooh,
was looking up. It's somebody else. Like they just
ooh.
started in 1 year. They took off to 1 million, and I'm over here like, God, I've been in this mug 2 years. I'm not even at 1,000. I used to be like, now Lord, I know what you told me, but also
Yes.
too, I understood the process of the Lord. He kind of had to show me this, that there was a season I was, here I was back in my mom's home, and I had failed out of college, and I'm working on this ministry,
Hmm.
and I'm like, God, I know what you showed me. But during that season, me and my dad, we would have to go outside and mow the grass. He would say, "Come on, Mo, come out here and help me mow this grass." So I would always, every 2 weeks, I'd be outside mowing the grass with my dad. And there was this one day I was mowing the grass and I had headphones in, and I was telling God how upset I was
Hmm.
that I know I'm called to a powerful international ministry, but I'm out here mowing grass. I'm in the same bedroom I came out from high school. All I got is a laptop and a dream. Like, God, what's going on? And I'm pushing this lawnmower. And the Lord said, right now, this season is you doing what you're doing right out here.
Yeah.
You're working your ground. You're preparing your ground.
Woo!
So I'm pushing this lawnmower crying because the Lord has given me a full revelation. Like this is, I've been doing this all summer long, mowing this grass. And he's like, you looking at your ministry like, what's the point? We're not growing.
Yeah.
He's like, but this all this time I've had you, these 2-3 years, chilling, like nothing ain't really moving. I've been preparing your soil.
Yeah.
So when that mug come up, it's going to be a harvest. But if you would have
Yes.
got it in the first year or the first 6 months like you truly wanted it, there wasn't going to be no harvest, sis. There was going to be a few little pieces, but it wasn't going to be no harvest. And so I had to learn in that season, even though I don't like where I'm at, this is a part of the journey and this is a part of the process. And that gave me a lot of peace. It did. It gave me a lot of peace, to know like this thing was going to come together when it was meant to come together.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. So you said college. What transition with your college experience?
Yeah, so college, I went into college, I wasn't saved. Like I didn't grow up in a Christian household. So I went to college, I was not saved. I got saved probably within my first year on campus, and then I joined Greek after that. And but I'm on my beginning walk. You know, I'm only saved for a year at the time. And so I'm just kind of becoming Morgan, so to speak, becoming who God's calling me to be. So college was a really hard time for me because I came in there as an unsaved woman who was going to, you know, become a physical therapist and all this stuff. And then I get saved and God is showing me different paths now. And so that's at college and ministry really, it blessed it, but it collided a lot. Before I knew it, I was a president of a Christian organization. I was hosting weekly Bible studies. I was running the campus church service. Like I just got kind of thrown into this. And then I also am struggling because I'm Greek too. So I was kind of struggling with my Greek life. And I realized like college was a time that God had to prune me, prepare me for ministry. I didn't know that in that season of my life, but now looking back, it was a season of pruning and a season of preparation. He had to prune the desire I had for some of the worldly things out, so he can prepare me for the ministry that I was getting ready to walk into.
Yeah. So that is cool. So you didn't grow up in a Christian home. Did
Yeah.
your relationship with God, when got your personal relationship with God, did that change with your family? How did that affect your family? You now loving God, you this new information you're getting about God,
Mhm.
this new relationship. How did that blend with your family?
At first, it was really hard. At
Yeah.
first, I was like weird, like to them, because I was the party girl. I was crazy. I was the cousin that was always getting kicked out of school. So it was like Mo, they call me Mo. Like Mo was this crazy, you can't control her. And then all of a sudden, Mo gets saved. And now Mo is talking about the goodness of the Lord. And Mo is a whole nother person now. She ain't acting no fool. So I went from like being the one to like, let's get together, let's drink, let's get drunk, to now they're like, Mo, let's get together, let's drink. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not. Like, Mo, let's smoke. Nah. Like, me and my sister actually, we collided a lot because in the beginning, because there were things like, come on, let's go to this club. And I just be like and early on, the Lord was guiding me to ministry. I didn't know, but early on, there was a major conviction. And I mean, I'm only saved for maybe a few months at the time. And I'm just like, nah, like, I can't do this no more, you know? So it was at the first few years, I was very weird. Let me just say that. The first few years, I was extremely weird to them, but then, probably a few years after that, I watched my mother get saved. I watched my stepfather get saved. I watched my sister and her husband get saved. So, and also too, even to this day, I have family members that are not saved, but when they come to me or they're like, "Oh, like Mo," like they come to me for prayer. Like they come to me when they need really big things in their lives. And so it's God has used it beautifully, but in the beginning, it was really hard. I was the weird cousin. I turned from this like the fun cousin to like, don't even invite her because she's so weird now. Yeah, it was hard at first for sure.
I understand the weird stage. I most definitely understand the weird stage. I can remember like when I really like I'm out here living in the world, living it up, like drinking, smoking out here in these streets, just living my best
Come on.
life. And then I get this relationship with God, and I get to know him. I get to know him, but
Mm.
I didn't know how to just be. So I was very weird. Like I immediately cut my friends off immediately. Yes, like I'm not going out again, never again. I'm never going out. I'm never drinking. I'm never smoking. You need to get to God. You need to get to God. You know what? Delete my number. I don't even know you. Do you know God? I ain't even really know him yet. But do you know him? And so, like, I pushed people away. And those same people that I pushed away, eventually, when it came back around, that when I grew in a relationship with the Father, and
Mhm.
I saw the love of God and how kind and
Mhm.
unconditional his love was,
That's
God taught me grace on how to treat people by
mm.
how he treated me
Ooh,
in my imperfection. I learned how to be graceful because I served a father who is graceful. And what he did by sending his son just so that we can have a relationship with him. I started to learn how the father, how much he loves us. And
mm,
that gave me such a heart of humility
that's
to
good.
people and to be compassionate and to be patient because God was patient with me.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So
Yeah. So see, I didn't fully experience that to that level because I grew up all everybody I was around was not really Christian, you know? So I didn't get rid of anybody, but over time I watched God get rid of people in my life. And it wasn't me intentionally saying like I don't want you there. It was just like the friend I used to always smoke with, me and her quit I quit smoking. And so then it was like we didn't really have no reason to link up after a while, you know? Or the guy that I was with and that was I was having sex with, something in, the relationship kind of just slowly unraveled. And then it's like, well, we're going on with our lives in different ways. So I really will say I think the Holy Spirit for me just really kind of personally over time unraveled a lot of the relationships that I was connected to that really wasn't for me. But he also gave me a lot of grace because I didn't have a community at the time to be like Morgan, like do this or do that. So for me, it was just me and Jesus in the cut. I always say that, like it was just me and Jesus in my dorm room, like that was it. And so, and even now in the ministry, I always remember back to those times when it gets too heavy and I'm too stressed out or things are just too much for me. I'm like, hold on, do you remember how this started? It was just you and Jesus in the cut. That's all it was. So that's what you got to go back to. Don't be trying to be all over spiritualized over here. Don't be trying to, look like Morgan Tracy J or carry yourself. It was just you and Jesus. So you got to go back to that all the time. And that's my saving grace when I'm here sometimes, doing ministry or in my office or something. And I just have to go back to that and like, Morgan, it can get really crazy here. It can get really heavy, but it was just you and Jesus. And so that's all that it is. It's just still just you and Jesus. The same words he spoke to you back then, he's just speaking new, more clear words today. That's it's still you. It's the same mission. It's the same goal. It's the same call. It's just you and Jesus. And so, yeah.
that's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. How did his daughter's closet come? How where did that come from?
What's so crazy is it's always like your purpose was right in front of you all them years
Yeah.
and you didn't see it till he had to literally shout it at you. But I had already been on campus doing a little bit of ministry stuff, doing all kinds of stuff. And one day I was in my dorm room and he said, "Help my daughters." And I said, "How? Like how? How do you want me to help your daughters?" And he said, "The same way I've helped you." And I realized he had healed me from a lot. He had helped me deal with a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, just a lot of stuff I grew up in, a lot of poverty, a lot of mindsets. And so I realized, like, oh, wow, okay, like I actually could share my experiences, what he's helped me through. And then kind of from there, I just went home once. I went home one weekend and I said, "Mama, I'm gonna start a ministry. And which one of these names do you like the most?" And I gave her like three different names. And the name I loved, she picked as well as the one, and I said, "Okay, that's it." And then I think like 2 weeks later, I had a little launch on my campus for it, and that was it. Like I really didn't take a long time with it, just because I knew, you know that you when he tells you it, it's like you see all the pieces line up. You're like, "Oh my gosh, how did I not see that?" Like that's really how it happened with me. He was like, "Help my daughter." I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's my purpose because it's like he started taking me to moments of like in the library on campus. Like I'm just talking to a girl and all of a sudden she started crying. We on some deep stuff. And like God started showing me like, sis, you've been doing this for years. Now I'm just giving it a name and I'm giving it a platform to do it. But you are, and that's the key. I think people overthink our purpose sometimes, but really it's the thing we've been doing for years. That's all it is. And like even when I was in high school, from a sophomore to a senior, I mentored a young girl at the Boys and Girls Club. Her name was Raina. I mentored her when she was in like the sixth grade up until the eighth grade. And she was my little mentee. And I would meet with her every week, help her with schoolwork, talk to her, whatever. And the Lord is like, sis, you don't see this. Like it's in you. And that's what I think I love about when you tap into your purpose. You ain't got to strive for it. You ain't got to fight for it. It is in you. Like And that's when that's for myself. Like sometimes I can overthink things and I'm like, Morgan, hold on. This mug lives in you. So if you just sit down for a second, actually, if you just press record, it's going to come out. It lives in you. So don't overthink it, you know?
Mhm.
Ooh, that's a word for you, Joshua. But don't overthink it. It lives in you. Okay. But yes, it lives in you. And so it's just gonna flow when you press play, when you press
Wow.
record, it's gonna flow
Yes.
because it lives there, you know? And so that's something I had to learn throughout these years in the ministry. It lives in
Yeah.
you. It's been there all along. It's been there since you was a little girl. And now you just finally awaken to it. You conscious enough to it, and you now stepping into it, but it's been there all along. So there ain't nothing you got to do for it. You can perfect it. You can get sharper. Iron sharpens iron. You can connect to somebody that can help it get sharper, but it has to already be there to get sharp. And you just got to realize that it's been there all along. The issue is many of us don't even know it's there. So we're like, what is it? We looking outward, but it's always been there. Just go back, dig a little bit, and you're gonna find it. You dig to when you was 12, like dig to when you was 16, that friend you was talking to and she was like, girl, you hitting me, like this is a work. Yes, it's that was the confirmation. You just didn't realize it at the time. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. I hope y'all get it. Did y'all just hear that? It's already there.
It's already there.
It's your grace place.
Ooh, I like that.
It's your grace place. What you already been grace enabled to do. But we seem to ignore it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, he showed me it was there. So when he laid it out, like, hey, this is it. And he showed me all the pieces, almost how they say, like the people say at the end of your life, you see all of your life flash. And that's
Yeah.
how he showed it to me. He said, help my daughters. I said, how? And he showed me all the things he helped me with, but then he showed me all my life where I was already helping his daughters.
Yeah.
And he was like, so there's no difference now. So you want to go put it, all you doing is adding a name and picking a platform. That's all you
Uh
doing, but you already been doing it. Right. So it was a big wake up for me to realize, dang, you've been walking around with this thing
huh.
that you didn't even know you was carrying. You had a key and a lock the whole time. You just didn't even know it. You know, you just thought this was you. You thought this was just how you was. You know, people think that, oh, I'm just real creative. Oh, I just have
Yeah.
dreams. You know, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
Nah, that ain't just who you are. That's a key and a lock you got right there. That's some greatness you got right
Ooh, purpose.
there. You better say it.
Purpose. How did your ministry move to social media? How did that happen, ma'am? Where this your women's ministry, your daughter's ministry, how did because that's what I think what I love about what you're doing, what God is doing through you. It just went across the board.
Hmm.
It transitioned in a unique way to social media that where it's fashion, beauty, God. How did
Hmm.
that happen, Morgan?
Truly, how it happened. And this is just something the Lord gave me early on in the ministry. Um, I think I had to realize what day and age I was in. Okay, so when I look at Martin Luther King had TV. You know, Billy Graham, they had radio where they could get the message across. We have social media today. So I can preach a message in Oklahoma and a girl in Africa can get blessed, right? So I realized the power of the medium of my generation. And so I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to jump on YouTube. And at the time, I jumped on Periscope because Periscope was popping too back then. I remember I was doing YouTube and Periscope and I heard the Lord say, stop Periscope. And I was like, why? Like, because my Periscope was jumping back then. Okay. I don't know why. And my YouTube was not even moving. Okay. But that's why they always say God goes before God goes before you. He knows the wave that's going to hit. You just got to be already in position. So in the first few years of the ministry, I was on YouTube and I was on social media, but the Christian wave wasn't really hitting yet. There was only a few, like Sarah Jakes wasn't really that big yet. There was only like a few out there that was really kind of moving, but the Lord knew that there was going to be a wave, and if you're in position, you're gonna catch the wave, you know. And so I think early on, the Lord just showed me, like, Morgan, your medium is social media. That's this generation's medium, and I gave it, I gave a command, I gave a plan to go out into all the world and make disciples, all nations. So, daughter, you don't got to get on a flight to go do that. You can drop a video. And so even when I had 50 subscribers, I was like, you know what? I know one day it's going to be bigger than this. So
Yeah.
this is me trying to go out into all the world and help his
Oh
daughters.
yeah. You're doing it.
Oh, thank you.
You're doing it. And I'm so excited about the extension God is about to give your ministry, your platform, the reach that He's about to give you.
Mm,
I'm so excited for you, Morgan.
thank you,
I,
girl.
I am. I'm so excited for you. I had another question. So beauty. How did the
Mm.
beauty and fashion intertwine? How, girl, how did you do that? How did you do that?
Girl, let me tell you, it actually all started in beauty. His daughter's closet was a girl going into her closet, grabbing out garments. That
What?
it was all about beauty. And after about 3 months, I used to do so this week now I have these things called Fearless Fridays, but they used to be called Fashion
Uh
Fridays.
huh.
And I was doing fashion and I was doing this, and then one day the Lord said, "Stop." And I was like, no, like you called me to create a ministry. And he said, only focus on faith. Because at the time I was focusing mainly on beauty and like kind of helping the inward man a little bit, but I was really like trying to fix the girl up.
Yeah.
I love fashion, I love beauty, I love all that. And the Lord said, don't do that. And so I quit for I think 2 years. I didn't really do any fashion content. And all I did was my faith messages. I did that.
Oh,
And then randomly one week, the Lord said, now you're ready for fashion. You're ready to bring it back. And so God built it with faith first, fashion, and then, fearlessness. But for me, when I built his daughter's closet, it was fashion first.
yeah.
That was what I saw. I saw myself with the boutique and, all this stuff.
Yes.
That's what I saw. But quickly, God said, hold on, hold on. If you build it only on fashion, they're only going to be fixing up the outward man. So I need you to build it on faith to build up the inward man first. So he started working on building up the inward
Yes.
first, and then we got into fashion and all that. And so I love how he did it. He did it way better. And they always say, God can plan way better than we can.
Yeah.
And he did. He did. He executed that far better because your girl was trying to be top notch influencer,
Yeah.
fashionista. Like I was trying to be all of that. And the Lord was like, he pulled that out for about 2 years and was like, no, we about to get this word out there. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
So that's how
goodness.
that came together.
That is so dope. That is just so dope. So now let's talk about your university. Oh, it's so creative. I love what you're doing. It is just so creative. What is Social University? Tell us all
So
about it.
So it was something years ago, early in the ministry. The Lord said, "You're going to build many other ministries." And at the time, my ministry was struggling to be built,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh no, okay, Lord." And so, over the years, as I built my ministry and everything, I would get messages from girls saying, like, "Who designed your website? Who did your flyers? Who did this? Who did that?" And it was all me.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have money, so I just had to self learn YouTube University, literally, just get on YouTube and self learn. And so a lot of girls would ask me questions, and I realized it got too big to where I couldn't teach one at a time.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me create this mentorship. And I will say the whole reason why we're able to have an office today and why we're able to do a lot that we have is based off of Social University. It was off of one idea that the Lord said, you're going to build many ministries. And so ladies come in, and what they do is they have all these classes inside teaching them how to build either their YouTube ministry, their Facebook group
I
ministry,
love it.
their websites, their Instagram ministry, their in-person events, their online Bible studies. It teaches them how to do all of that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of something the Lord gave me years ago. And today it has blessed us so much. Like that's our bread and butter,
Yeah.
honestly. That's why I don't have to say like, donate to our prom dress drive or donate because Social University is that fundraiser for us. And it really brings in a lot to provide for our programs.
I love it. I mean, what you're doing, guys, again, here we have her information. Go to her website, go to all of her social medias, lock in, subscribe, be a part of, because what she's doing is so necessary, it's so vital. It'll help you move to the next phase in the journey you want to go in. And what I think, Morgan, that is dope about what you're doing is that you helping daughters progress. You're helping
Mhm.
daughters do what's on the inside of them to
Mhm.
like to learn this is how you do this so that purpose can happen, so
Yeah.
that the ministry can be birthed.
Ooh, you better say it. And the Lord actually, I was struggling with it in the first year. It wasn't growing. It was not growing for nothing. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, and it was a lot of work to make these master classes and everything. And I remember I was like, I don't think this is working. Like I'm doing something wrong. And the Lord said, this ain't for you. First off, this
Mm-hmm.
ain't for you. Okay. And then he also said, you're going to bring a lot of people out of poverty,
Yeah.
because
Woo!
if a girl is struggling in poverty, just like you was, Morgan, and the gift started learning things to bring yourself out of poverty, is like you're teaching her how to come out of poverty. That
Oh,
you teaching girls on YouTube how to come out of poverty. They
yeah.
take your little YouTube, the very YouTube strategy that you use. If they take it now, and it's actually the YouTube strategy that God gave me, but if they take it now, come out of poverty. So that's the whole goal with Social University, is
Yeah.
that they will step into their purpose, but also whatever that purpose is, they realize that that truly can bring them out of poverty. You know.
Go sign up. Don't miss it. Go and sign up. Go
Yes.
and register and get what you need to move to the next level. Okay, so I have this. These are one of my last questions. And I want to ask you this because I'm gonna ask you,
Go ahead.
what was one of the hardest seasons or moments you had to overcome? What was one of the most difficult test or situation you had to that it was hard to get through it? It was hard to walk through it. It was hard to get out
Girl,
of it.
girl. I'm literally like, can I just pick like that? I can't just pick one. There's been a lot.
Yeah.
So I will say there was a season, a relationship ended in my life, and it was really hurtful.
Mm.
And I had to shoot some content.
Oh Jesus.
And in the video of the content I'm shooting, I start crying. I'm crying because the relationship just probably ended not even a day ago, not even 24 hours ago, right? And I'm crying in the content. When I was editing it, the Lord said, keep it in. And I was like, no, because I stop and I'm crying and I, freshen up and I get back to it. And the Lord says, keep it in. And I'm like, no. But he's like, this is the reality. So that was one of the hardest times I think I had to learn early on, that life is going to happen,
Yeah.
but it should not stop what God has called you to do. You can pause, you can see la, but when it stops you, then that means the call may not really be from God, because the call of God ain't gonna stop. It's gonna keep moving,
Wow.
you know? And so that was one of the harder times. And actually, this is a good question, because this season that I just currently walked through and I'm walking out of, was probably one of the hardest times in my life. Losing a really close friend, to death, to an early death. And it was one of the hardest seasons. And I've seen my faith shake a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen it shake. I've seen myself struggle. But I will say the way that I came out of it was I had to be really real with God. I had to have those days where I'm like, I can't read today because I
Woo.
can't even trust you right now, because I truly feel like my friend should have been here. Her daughter needed her. Her family needs her. Like, her daughter is this age. Like, she needs her mama. Like, why would you take someone so young? Like, so daddy, actually, I can't even really read your word right now, because I can't even believe your word right now, because I'm struggling inside.
Woo.
So I had to have some really honest conversations with the Lord,
Yeah.
in this last probably 4 or 5 months. Probably right before the summer. Yeah, right before the summer hit. And it was something that I think I hadn't had to have in a long time. But I had to be like, you know what, Lord, I can't sing that song right now,
Yeah.
because that song, I can't even make the words to say it because I don't believe it yet.
Oh my
I
goodness.
can't sing that. I can't sing that song right now. Like that song I could sing in that other season
Yeah.
about how good you are. I can't sing it right now, but I know you're good. But I can't even sing that right now. So I think being really vulnerable with the Lord, also, and telling the Lord, like, you know what, I can't read, I can't praise, but you might get this groan. Like, you might get some groanings.
Yeah.
You might get some tears.
Yeah.
You might get some silence
Yeah.
where I'm just silent with you, and just because you know what I'm feeling, but I can't even make the words to tell you exactly what I'm feeling inside. Um, so that right there, I will say, was one of my hardest seasons. because I was dealing with a lot. Like, I will say this: me, my sister, and my brother, in the matter of a couple weeks, we all lost some really close friends, and then their friends were close to us
Oh
too.
my God.
Um, yeah, and in our community, like there were just the people who grew up. Like we just started losing people left and right. And I remember being like, "Okay, Lord, like what we doing now? What we doing, Jesus? Like, come on, Lord." And I noticed that my faith shook so much in that time. But the biggest thing I think I took away from that is there is no plan B. There ain't no plan B,
Wow.
Morgan. So you hurting, right? And that's why I would say, like, Lord, I can't talk to you right now, but you know I'm gonna talk to you
Yeah.
again. You know I'm gonna try to talk to you
Yeah.
tomorrow. I can't get the words to tell you how I feel right now, but maybe I'll have it
Yeah.
tomorrow. You know, so like there is no plan B. Your goal is to ride this out till he brings you home,
Yeah.
anyways. So there ain't nowhere else to go, you know. So I feel like I don't feel pressured to have to be like perfect with the Lord all the
Yeah.
time. Like, oh, I've got to be good in right standing. Like sometimes I have to be like, Lord, I ain't even in right standing right now because I can't even talk to you
Right.
because you let me down, and I have a little resentment in my heart right now because I really wanted that, and I really wanted that person to be here, and they're not. You know, so that I will say that's where the rubber meets the road in your
Yeah.
faith, when you can go through you can be like looking at your a family member, you know, in a coffin, and you can look at them, and then you can still stand there and you can cry and you can say, but the Lord is still
Yeah.
good. You know what I mean? So that's where my faith truly met the road. Like, do you really believe what you
Yeah.
say? Is he really a redeeming
Yeah.
God? Is he really a healer? Is he really an overcomer? Is he really victorious in you? Do you can and I will say that's when I see my faith and the things that I preached and said really be tested. And and there's days I've fallen to it, and I've gotten weak to it. But then there's days I've got back up, and I'm like, okay, Lord, we got this. We
Yeah.
got this, you know? So that's my honest take. It's been relationships and lost loved
Yeah.
ones where I've truly had the hardest times in the ministry. But I will
I,
say this. Oh,
okay, go
sorry.
ahead, girl.
I will say this. The Lord has always told me to use the pain, though.
Yeah. Yes.
There
Yes.
was a season when a friend of mine's baby died, and it was really in that same the night that we got the news that her baby died. I wrote my first book. I cried and I wrote my first book. I used the pain of that death. And so the Lord has showed me to use the pain. So when I'm in the most pain, I don't run from the ministry. I run to the ministry. I come and shoot the video. That's why I'm crying. I come and deliver on what I said I was going to do, because I've learned that if you use the pain, then it actually what the enemy meant for evil, God will use for good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Morgan, oh, that was just so beautiful. I love your honesty. And you're so brave.
Thank
Like literally, you are so, so, so brave and courageous.
you.
You
Thank you.
are. You're strong. Even in your weakness, or in the times you had weakness, I hear your strength. Your
Thank you.
strength in God, your strength, even in that moment of God, I can't sing this now. There's still strength in that. Being able to say, God, I'm not strong. Right
Mm,
now, I'm not feeling it. That is strength to say that.
mm,
So that's beauty.
yeah.
That's beauty.
Oh, thank you. But that's also when you don't grow up with religion.
Yeah.
I, you know, I got to meet him in the dorm room. So
Yeah.
in the cut, I could say whatever I wanted to say.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I love it.
that's what happened. I didn't grow up like prayer is one way. No one taught me that except in the dorm room. He just talked to me and I talked to him back.
Yeah.
So when you don't really have a religious mindset,
Yeah.
you can say like I literally say this. I have old prayer journals that I have so much cuss words in. You know, there's so much cuss words in my prayer journals because it's like God will take me to a traumatic event, like when someone touched me inappropriately as a
Yeah.
child, and I will be like, "Duh-duh-duh," and I can truly how I felt about that individual, I can express it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's like over time, I got to really build like I don't. There is no filter with the Lord. You know,
Yeah.
I have a filter with everyone else, really, I do. But the Lord gets the real, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Love it.
Jesus. Don't try me again now, Lord. Don't tell him don't try me again, you know. Like it You get to be just have a free, authentic, like a real authentic relationship with the Lord.
I love that. I love that. That's how it should be, where you can be completely honest with God, and
Mhm.
even when it's just real, when it's just
Mhm.
you letting the Lord know where you are. He wants
Mhm.
that part of you. He wants every single part of you, in the good, the bad. Like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. God wants it all. He cares
Mhm.
about he cares about you, and he want to
Mhm.
hear that. So, Morgan Tracy J. Ooh wee.
Ooh wee.
Look,
Amen.
one of my I myself too have experienced sexual abuse as a child, and that was one of the hardest things for me to let go of. It
Mhm.
was because I didn't know that I didn't know that I
Good.
could live without it. Because it was tattooed on my mind, on my heart.
Mhm.
It was tattooed, and I did not know how to escape the pain, the memory. I thought that I did, like I said, I didn't know it was a choice, that there was another way, until I really got close to God and I got into relationship with God, and I told God that I'm tired of me. I was
Mhm.
tired of me, Morgan, getting in my way.
Ooh, that's good.
Morgan, I was tired of me getting in my way of healing, of
Mhm.
relationship, because I was so broken. I was so angry. I was
Mhm.
so mad. And I didn't know it was my reason. My past was my reason. It was my excuse.
Mhm.
It was
Yeah.
it was my everything. And so I
Mm.
didn't know who I would be without it. So the thought of living without it was not, I didn't
Mhm.
think that. But I can remember I told God that I'm tired of me. I'm tired. Lord, deliver me from myself. And God had
Mm.
told me, like, you got to forgive. You have to forgive them. You got to forgive them, and you can forgive them. You can let it go. You
Mhm.
can. You can. I'm like, God, I can. How? How am I going to let this go? How can I get this out of my mind? How can I get this out of my
Mhm.
soul? And God said to me, you got to see them how I see you.
Mm.
You got to see them how I see you,
That's
which
good.
is through the blood. And God got me straight. He said, you fall, you make mistakes, but yet I forgive you over and over and over and over and over again. I forgive you. I know you. I'm
Yeah.
patient with you. I love
Mm.
you. And God said, you got to see them how I see you.
Yeah.
And I can
Mm.
remember, like, it didn't automatically just boom, but with work, I can remember seeing them through the blood. I can
Mm.
remember seeing those individuals through the blood. And it was the first time in my life I felt compassion. It was the first time that I had saw them in a different light. In the
Yeah.
light, like I wasn't angry. I was like, Lord, forgive them. Lord, have
Mhm.
mercy on them. I don't know what they experienced, but Lord God, have mercy on them. And when I tell you, woman of God, since that happened for me, I have not. I can see that person to this day because it's a family member. I
Mhm.
see them, and I'm able to have a conversation. I'm able to talk. I'm able
Mhm.
to laugh with them. They looking weird. I'm not, because
Mhm.
he's not guilty. You're not
Mhm.
guilty because God allowed me to see it right. He was patient with me, and I was
Mhm.
able to let it go. And
Mm.
I
That's
pray,
good.
like, for this person, like, Lord God, just heal his heart. Don't let him
Mhm.
live in guilt. Lord God, don't, because
Free
how
him. Yeah.
gracious God is to me. How
Mm.
gracious God is and forgiving and kind He is, and me becoming me, I choose to be free.
Ooh, that's good.
I choose becoming me. I choose joy. I choose love. I choose forgiveness. I choose to be the best version of myself. I don't want
Mm.
to be bitter anymore. I don't want to be
Mm.
sad anymore. I don't want to look back there. I don't want to live there. I want to live in the now. I
Mm.
want to press forward. And that's
Mm.
what I choose as I am me. So,
Mm.
guys, thank you so much for watching this. For watching, Look, thank y'all so much for watching Becoming Her. I know you guys were blessed. I know you guys were touched. I'm speechless.
We
I'm
was touched.
speechless.
So we know y'all was touched.
Look,
Okay.
I am speechless. So, guys, look, this is our first episode. We have another one coming next week. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. And also, guys, here is all Morgan Tracy J information. Follow her. Go see what she's doing. Go to every social media. They're right here. Go to them. Go. Check her out and be a blessing. Okay, Morgan, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Thank y'all
you
for having
so
me.
much. Thank you so much.